That's me.
Yeah, it could be financially safe. I mean, they're not going to burn down until the fall.
Well, I don't think they're not enough to get especially for love to invest.
No, because it was not blocking curves, yeah, so we didn't put any.
I wanted to talk to really fake. Oh, I'm just gonna wait in a minute or so. Can I turn that off? We can stop for a minute, so we'll. Good. So we are calling the Finance and Administration Advisory Committee meeting to order. And we need to do a roll call. Madam Secretary, do we have quorum? We have quorum. Very good. Are there any declarations of interest? Great, seeing none, we will go on to the next item, which is the adoption of the agenda. So, resolved that the agenda for the August 2026 Finance and Administration Advisory Committee meeting be adopted as presented. I need someone to move, so Judy moves. Kathy Curry seconds. Any comments on the agenda? Any amendments? All in favor? Okay, the amendment, the agenda is adopted. We now move on to the main business, which is the approval of minutes of the Finance and Admin meeting from May the 4th. So resolved that the minutes of the Finance and Administration Advisory Committee meeting held May 4th, 2026 be received and approved as printed. I need someone to move. So Paul Kehoe moves, Jeff Atkinson seconds. Are there any comments on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? All right. All right, the minutes are approved. Now we move into the juicy bits of the meeting. First is the 2027 fees with a report from Stacey Miller.
Hello, so this is an update of the non-permanent plan fees. We're not touching those. Wait. Other than the visitor services fees, we were targeting about 3% increase. The reality is a range because we ran, we get down to the exact. Under visitor services, we did comparison to comparable sites and venues. Penny's Point and Billings of State Historic Sites fee probably our most relevant and comparable. And we've targeted about a 5% increase in visitor services fees. So we've been working to bring those up to be competitive. On the day use pass, we only increase that every few years because it's difficult to increase the increments. So it is higher than 3%, and we are moving towards RBCA's day use fee, because we are anticipating next year that we merge all the fees, and RBCA charges $10 for the day use fees. So we put it at 8, up from 7. Weddings in general, we've seen about a 200% increase. It's starting to be known that we have the venue, and it's a lovely venue. The staff have been working on improving that. So again, to be comparable, competitive, and work on achieving our goal of being self-funded under the visitor services, we've added a wedding option that is on Saturdays. It's a 6-hour minimum. And Penny's Point and Billings do have that, where Saturday is kind of people's target day, and it's a more elaborate wedding. So we put a 6-hour minimum fee on for Saturdays. We have kept the 4-hour for others. And then additionally, staff were finding parking was a real challenge with weddings. We had been offering to people on pre-buy a certain number of passes, and it became complicated. So they were suggesting adding a fixed prepaid wedding guest parking is $125. So it's an add-on to the wedding, and people just pay it, or they say, "Oh, I guess you're." And there has that seems to be a popular option. So we're adding that in. We've removed on visitor services in the picnic shelter and gatehouse 2-hour minimum. Very little uptake. Still gone back to the half day and full day, and it's better staff wise and booking to block for blocking that. Staff are investigating a tent. that would add an element for weddings, and also be available to be used for the ed program, as additional covered space for weather. They're actually put a proposal into the foundation to help fund it. That's not related, not shown in here yet, because we don't 100% sure it's happening, but that's hopefully coming down the pipe for next year. So we may be coming back on the wedding side of things. And they are also, I think it's in the 2027 budget, looking to add a seasonal employee at the Milliken site that would cover weekends. So 3-day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to hopefully work on better offerings, etc. at the Milliken and visitor services. That's where most of the changes on the fees are. Again, really working towards our goal of category 3 being fully self-funded. On the corporate, I don't know if people had questions on other specific fees. There, again, the corporate, the ed program and stewardship, we're targeting 3%, but it ranges probably from 3 to 4. Governor camps, we kept it a little lower to be, again, comparable. At $280 per session for the 5-day and $225 for the 4-day. Those are comparable to our MVCA, slightly lower, and to other camps in the area. You can have other specific questions on them?
Yeah, are there any questions?
I do have some questions on this actually, because I was looking, and I wasn't looking specifically at the Milliken Tail, I was looking at office space workstation service per month, $170.
Yes. That's here.
Mississippi Valley Officer, no, Mississippi
And
Valley
I'm
Officer
not
land.
Okay, but that's not just like Paul Keogh Incorporated wanted to come in and rent a workspace for the rest of the year. Because that is their. And then I guess the other wedding thing is some of the wedding venues that we're having out in near neck of the woods, I guess actually it's in Drummond. The venue wedding, those like have a wedding at a farm. It's like $5,000 and $10,000. You know, like
We're not there yet offering the back end services. Like they would have like the full kitchen or do some of that catering stuff. We're moving in that. The staff actually talked about the possibility of eventually do a second tent that was at the
well,
80.
some of them are you cater your own stuff and it's still like $4,000, $5,000 just for the property rental for the weddings. Like there's
We don't block the property either, so it is still public. That's we're conscious of that and trying to balance. But yes,
Sarah's down in your response, I think.
The other thing is toilets, and this is our ongoing issue is that until we're able to provide flush toilets, we're asking people to rent and, Johnny on the spots and to service their wedding. So it's a different market. So the day that we put in flush toilets and facilities is the day we'll be able to charge a much higher price, I think, for our venue.
it's a good point.
Because this seems like, I know we just had a wedding in the family temples, it was $150 a person. That was like $16,000.
Yeah, but that's a nice facility and they've got indoor toilets.
And
Well, they got flush toilets.
Oh,
Okay, I give you that. I mean, that's,
Toilets are important to women, okay? I know.
hey, I got a house full.
I think, do you want to give them an action to go away and look at everywhere else again, or do you guys already look at the market?
No, I'm good, I'm just sitting there saying, okay, I don't want to see you overwhelmed with weddings because you're dirt cheap, like we're.
Well, how much has it gone up?
It went from $885 to $930.
5% on the basic 4-hour and the 6 hours are new, but it's in the
Right.
comparable.
I think. Really, do you want them to do anything, or you're just making a comment, I guess is what I'm asking. Do you want staff to go away and
No, I don't want her to go away and do it, just make a comment, but I think it's dirt cheap.
Okay.
And I think you could be easily charging $2,000 for a half day and $4,000 for the full day wedding.
week.
All right, are there any other comments on the fees?
Nope.
No? All right, with that, I just want to make sure we still have quorum, because I'm not sure that Alan's still online. Did he still need to show them? Or is he still there?
Yeah.
I just need to be able to see people in case he has a question. Okay, so,
Are you able to see them?
He's
Like,
got his
over?
camera.
yeah, well, I just want to make sure that
Oh, I
there's a
see.
space for, I didn't know if he was still there. Okay.
Your camera's off, you don't.
All right, that's fine. I'll just, yeah, all right. So I'll read the motion, that the Finance and Administration Advisory Committee recommend that the Board of Directors approve A, updated schedules D through G of MVCA's fee schedule as set out in report number 3574. B, posting of the new fees in accordance with MVCA's fee policy, and C, that the new fees take effect immediately for all programs and services to be delivered on or after January 1, 2027, pending no major concerns regarding the proposed changes. So Paul moves, Councilor Curry seconds. All in favor? Okay, motion is carried. All right, and now we're getting on to the draft budget, and you may already be covering this, Sal and Stacy, but could you make sure that when you preface this, you tell us the implications of us approving a budget in the light of amalgamation? I'm sure you're probably going to like, what are we really approving? For what purpose? Well, I would appreciate that.
All right, so I'll start with that then. We're actually under ministerial direction to approve this budget. And we're pretty much in line with all the other CAs. I think Summer's taking hers, well, her acting GM is taking theirs, I think, next week. So the intent of the province is that, and from the briefings I've had from Summer since she's taken this new position, is that they very much see next year as probably being, in many respects, a status quo year. And in terms of while they're trying to amalgamate various programs and services, you know, at least having meetings around these things and dealing with, you know, coordination of banking and all of those sorts of things, that it will be, you know, business as usual on the ground in the 4 offices in our jurisdiction. So they're looking for us to develop our business as usual kind of budget. And as they need to, as the year goes on next year, they will adjust and harmonize them as needed. They're still intending to go for a February 1st amalgamation date where the new board would assume its role. So Summer is going to be issuing a letter jointly with me to all of your municipalities within the next couple of weeks. To the CAOs, reminding them you need to, as soon as possible, you know, either confirm the current people in those roles or appoint new councillors post-election so that we can remain compliant with our bylaws and have a functioning board until February 1st. But they are aiming to have new county appointed board members as in that new board structured by February 1st. So we have literally a handful of meetings left, and then this will no longer be, which is unfortunate, but such is life.
Yeah. So just again to clarify, and this really isn't hugely different from what happens after an election, but we're going to be approving the budget that will be implemented by really a different board, right? I mean, and that happens every election, you know, every 4 years anyway. But so the intent then is that MVCA will at least continue next year beyond February 1 with a budget, and then perhaps gradually be transitioned, and or in my opinion, probably won't get fully transitioned until 2028 when the budgets will probably
And that's exactly what she said.
yeah, 2028 will be it, right.
That's right. And in fact, potentially to 2029. So the province seems to be realizing you know, how big a piece they've bitten off, like there's a big piece of work to do. So
When's the next provincial election?
You gotta just change the rules, 3 years.
yeah, because they just.
So it's not till like basically 2029.
So this will be a done deal by then.
Okay, that's helpful to know. So So really, this isn't just a, we're gonna, put this together and then somebody's gonna go and change it next year. This is a really important budget to prepare and to review and to responsibly approve. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that that's, okay.
Yes. Okay, okay. Okay, you could go to the next slide, Kelly. So, as you know, the board did give us direction in May on, in particular for the levy, and what kind of levy increase we could see. So on the operating side, the board approved a 3% plus the assessed growth. On the capital, 7.5, and of course that 7.5 comes from our 10-year capital plan and the financing plan associated with that. And then an assumed growth rate of 1.5. And then embedded within that is the cost of living increase for staff of 2.5. So that's not in addition to, but within that operating and capital increases is a 2.5 pay increase. Go to the next item. So some of the key features of this budget is it pretty much is a status quo budget on the operating side. There are some special budgets, but mostly they're carryovers from current year and what's in the works already. We have been able to significantly reduce the category 2 and 3 operating levies, which I'll get into further. There is, of course, a significant increase in category capital because of cash whack-a-map. And we are assuming we get Becky funding for cash whack-a-map, but of course that's not a guarantee. But we have had conversations and communications with the city of Ottawa, and they do have council approval that should it become necessary, we can increase the value of the loan up to $6 million. So there's space there should we not get the WECI to at least continue the project. And there were limited changes in the assessment value amongst your various municipalities. The only person and organization that saw an increase was Carleton Place, Jeff. There you go. So there you go. Okay, we could go to the next slide, please. So in terms of the total budget, what you're going to see as we go through and into the finer details is that, there's pluses and minuses in terms of percentage changes. Some of those are just us fine-tuning how we're counting our time, in that everybody in this building fills out timesheets, and we're constantly trying to refine that to make it more accurate and better aligned with the categories 1, 2, 3. So there's some adjustments there, and of course you're going to see the cost of living increases, etc. But the key things that I want to point out to you here is that though on category 2, so you're going to see both a decrease in the actual budget value, but then you're going to also see, and I'll get into this in another slide, that we're in a position now to not have to include that charge within this year's levy. The category 3 is just going up marginally, but I want to highlight to you guys that our category 3 program is now worth over $500,000, and which is really impressive because most of that is funded by other sources. So I want to raise this because staff have done an absolutely brilliant job in recent years, increasing the amount that they're getting through grants and contributions from other sources. And for that reason, you're going to see a decline in the percentage of the municipal levy going to category 3 programs. So the value of the program has been going up. The impact on the levy has been going down. So I think that's a really good story that I want to share.
Well, I wish Richard were here to hear that. Just a quick question on category 2. I mean, that's where a municipality specifically requests the service that they then pay for. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and yet there's no specific levy, even though we're spending. Now you're going to get into where the 113 is coming from?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So I think that's So then the only thing I'm just gonna point out on here is the capital for category 3. You'll see it's dropped from 25 down to 10. That's in part because been really trying to make improvements to the museum in anticipation of it becoming a leased facility. So the 10 next year is to do those final sorts of work so that if you have a tenant in there, that they're receiving it in a condition that a tenant would want it to be. It's one thing to own and live in a building to your standard and be able to address things as you need to. It's another thing to have a tenant and they have expectations. So this last matter that we're dealing with is some of the drainage issues in the basement and putting in tile drain around the building, et cetera.
Just remind me again, when it's the municipalities, and funding that.
It's the end of 2022. Okay, so if you go to the next slide, please. So in compensation, it's the percentage change is greater than the 2.5, and mainly because there are other costs associated with compensation, like insurance that are benefits and the like that go up. The category 2 is largely going down again because of this kind of adjustment between the different types of work that people do and the fine tuning of people's timesheets. So some of those changes in the final column are a combination of, inflationary increases and the changes amongst the insured benefits. But also what you're seeing in there is we are extending the museum curator their contract to help us with this transition. There's a lot of paperwork that has to be done when you're transitioning a museum collection between owners, having to do with provenance and all that sort of stuff. And we've allowed for an additional student that will be grant dependent for next year for one of our stewardship programs. So, the changes that you're seeing there is a function of third area.
So a question on that would be on the capital. I can certainly see where there'd be significant engineering oversight of the cash revenue.
Yes.
So I do understand that. I am surprised though that there wouldn't be a decrease in the category 1. It just seems odd that the category 1 is still more than it's the 2% plus the insurance and benefits. More of the engineering time just should be done at the Congress.
It is, the envelope in terms of staff will increase compensation, but it's actually 5.5 because it's the 2.5 COLA and the 3% merit. So it's actually 5.5 COLA is kind of what you would expect to be your basic.
I think if I understand you correctly, though, you're looking at the difference.
Yeah.
And you're saying monies in real dollars. So what is that? It's $100,000. Well, it is $100,000, but then there's the inflation that's there on top of that. So,
Okay, so you allow a COLA rate of 2.5%, and the actual COLA rate right now is running at 2%. So is there some way of incorporating in this budget that says that we will go with the COLA rate that's actually established instead in that budget, just make a note of that? So that if the COLA is actually less than 2.5% or above 2.5%, that we would do back in the budget instead of taking 2.5. Because we got caught in this last year where we gave 2.5, it's actually higher. Or low at the council. Okay. So I would just like to say that we should go with the COLA for what the province is saying. And yes, it's fine at 2.5%, but we should make a note that we're giving our staff what the COLA is. We're not just, it's not just arbitrarily going to be, oh, well, we agreed 2.5 budget. We're going to do that.
Go ahead.
so typically what we've done is we look at the published rate the same month every year. And
Yes.
for consistency, right? Because that way you can't be accused of sort of playing on which month you choose, right? I think it was August, was it?
You've chosen the most highest month of the year. It tends to be the highest in August, and it is later in the year because costs actually generate down later in the year. So it's that August date is what you've been using, but that's not the rate that usually comes out at the end of the year.
Well, in any case, we're not even through August, so you probably don't have a cold rate yet.
No,
Or the month.
I realize that.
Sorry, yeah, I'm just like, I'm.
Well, and the 2 point, sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
so the 2.5. I can't remember what months we would, if you looked at, because it went to the board, so it would have been April,
So went to the board in
May.
May. I think I put it in a report, between March and April, one was 2.4, one was 2.8. So we kind of went to 2.5. We have to have some basis. We've also. We pick kind of that target, because we're going to do budget. But in fall, so that's what August is to be the first picked. We have had, we're exactly at 7%, so now we're not quite that high, so it's coming up with a number, and it's kind of a standard policy. I'm not sure if you want to change the policy
Okay.
at this age.
No, it's
Given
just, I
the
know,
board is
I
empty.
just say we got caught out of the township where we ended up that our staff were getting a higher percentage rate than like the county, whatever it was at the end, and it didn't go that way. It didn't look appropriate because we had to make adjustments based upon the numbers we were given at the time, and they turned out later in the numbers because the numbers fluctuate as the year goes on. So it's usually like I know in my pension, I get in early December, they say your pension next year will be increased by X%. The same thing in CPP, and paid security. Which tells you how well. And that this seems to be, we're,
I don't think there's much of a danger of it going down. I mean, to be honest, this year, they, you know, with
Did
the
last year.
inflationary, well, this was a different.
or the
year.
province says that's the number.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess, so the question would be, is there any interest in reevaluating it when you have a real number for August? Because you don't have a number for August yet, right? You just have a guess.
Yeah.
Right? So if you, I mean, I take your point that you need to take the same month every year. That makes complete sense to me. But you don't really have a number. So do we wait and what if it was 3% in August because the house prices are going up because of all sorts of things, but so do we wait? I'm just asking the question of what the impact would be, because this is gonna go to the board in September, so you could actually, you know, rerun the numbers with just put a little number in the spreadsheet. And so I'm just asking the question, right? It's.
I'm just asking the question too.
Well, no.
I don't want to see us go back to the re-rate
Oh, but
policy.
they-
Frankly, as of next year, something to make that kill beans difference.
I'm just saying they made the point that it should be on the same and at around, if it's August every year, then we should be taking what the real August date is, or August number is, and you have until the second week of September to actually, I don't know when it comes out, maybe it comes out later.
Yeah.
It probably is coming up this week.
For August?
Yeah.
For August?
No.
Is it
July.
Well, yes, sorry.
The
Yes.
in August.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
so-
know when it comes out, but yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it'll
but-
be the last week of September that we would get that number.
Why don't we defer to the board in September? This question. And, you know, so proceed with what the number is now. And I don't know if the number will be out in time. I guess probably not if it's in July's not out yet, but I mean, at least, well, we might have some idea of what July was. And, you know, just discuss it there. I mean, I actually worry that it's gonna be higher. I really do.
At least on September the 14th.
It, August will be,
Stats Canada will release the numbers.
Oh, really?
and our board
The
meeting,
board meeting is that day.
it,
So that morning, the inflation
No.
was strong.
The good is that we've said it's gotta be within, it doesn't change the levy.
Yeah.
And it might be moving things around.
Yeah, so we'll leave
It's a
it
bit of a
for
juggle.
now.
Yeah,
But I think
not-
leave it for
it's
now. The only other comment I'll make is, the comment I would make is the 3% merit, and I'm not disagreeing with it, but I don't recall reading it anywhere in here.
Oh, in the staff
In
report.
the staff report. And I read this fairly closely, and maybe I missed it.
First paragraph, no?
Pardon me?
Is it not in the first paragraph? Is that
I don't know, maybe it's the 3% on the merit.
maybe I was thinking about the other.
Yeah, I don't see it anywhere, like, it's just mentions the 2.5 COLA.
So the 3% merit,
Yeah, no,
is what the board approved when we were reviewing the whole merit and bonus program.
yeah, no, and
But you're right, I should mention it in the
well, there
report.
is an and with nothing after it, right? There's the last little bullet there, so I don't know, maybe it was in there.
Oh, no, it wasn't,
Okay.
because that relates to the levy.
But I think it's important, because I mean, we don't remember everything we do.
Yeah,
and I
no,
think
of course.
it's important that
So
that be in there, right?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point.
Okay, so.
Keeping quiet, because I don't even want to talk about the merit program. Hate it.
What else you want? You're grateful for that.
So
Yes.
can you amend the reports? Is that a thing? Add that in as a line?
Well, yeah. I did have a thought, but I didn't want to lose. Okay, so with respect to the COLA, I wish it was as easy as changing a number in a spreadsheet and everything got it. My druthers is, it would be that, because that is a board approved number, board contemplated this in May, and I.
It's the policy, so it's fine.
Because it's a lot of work, and I know. Even just getting this to in the, the committee by today took a lot of effort, and if it goes up, it has huge implications on other things. If it goes down, it's easier, candidly, but if it goes up, it has implications, so.
At 2.5 is fine, because the inflation rate, I just looked it up, it was 3% in July, up from 2.8% in June, so.
Good point.
Prices have taken a hit this month, so it's likely going up. Beyond that, so this would be.
All right, so why don't we just
Leave it as.
leave it as it is? All right, so good
I
discussion.
had a bad day, leave it as it is.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or
No.
questions on the budget?
The compensation, I haven't finished.
Oh, I'm
mine.
sorry, right. Oh, yeah. Sorry, just beating ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, if we could go to the next slide. Okay, so now delving into category 1 operating. So, the 4.1% on corporate services is largely a reflection of additional costs we've added in to help cover automation. We know that we are going to incur costs. We are tracking them separately in the hopes that at some point we'll be able to cost recover from the profits. Of course, there's also, the compensation, and just as a reminder of everything that corporate services includes, because it is a large number, we understand that. And board services such as these meetings, the finance and administration of the authority. It includes fleet, all our IT, the upkeep and operations of this building, as well as communications. And so under communications, that would include category 1 communications. So anything, so for instance, all the forecasting warning communications, as well as a portion of the ed program that supports category 1 messaging. If you could go to the next slide. So some of the key projects being planned for the coming year are improvement work plan for this year, the update of the master plan for the Milliken Tail Conservation Area. We've been wanting to update it for a few years now, but now that we finally have resolution on what's happening to the museum collection, we're able to move forward with it. So work has already begun on that. So that will continue and have a much more public base into next year. The whole transition and clarification of ownership around the KMP, so that we can transfer it. The amalgamation, also the MVCA's Phragmites program. This is one where we got funding this year, and we're anticipating getting more funding next year, but we won't know until we get it. We have been over past 3 years, including this year, been doing work on climate change analysis that was prescribed under the Mississippi River Watershed Plan. this is work that Euro does with summer student each year, and you may recall last year's poster paper at La Tournelle came in second place. It's very well respected and excellent work, and it's focused on the carp, which is a very flashy system, and looking in particular at the impacts of wetland development, and the potential impacts on how that system responds, and both under just normal situation and under changing climates. It's an interesting conversation that I've recently had with Euro about the impacts of climate versus just pure development on that system. So, you know, it's proving very helpful work that I think the city of Ottawa will find very helpful, and which can be extrapolated to other areas of our jurisdiction on the kind of how the system responds under different scenarios. So I think, for instance, the upstream development of in Carleton Place, you know, the wetlands around Carleton Place, for example, because there's not a whole lot of them left. So that's that one. And then I already mentioned the transfer of ownership of the museum. So those are the main sort of out of the normal kind of projects on the operating side for next year. So when I say status quo kind of budget, this is what I'm talking about. There's nothing that we haven't been doing already. Okay, so if you could go to the next slide. So under the capital, conservation areas, this is us continuing to work on our trails and bridges at our conservation level to make sure that they're safe for the public. So we're making great progress. So we're not budgeting as much for next year as we have in previous years. The tech study capital is us continuing to upgrade and do some expansion of our gauge system. Our gauge system, it's the stream flow and water levels, and that's what is core to our business. Without that data, it's very hard for us to do our operations, and we're constantly trying to make sure that that is a current functioning system. It's also includes some of the modeling we do of the watershed. So as we build out our floodplain mapping and our gauge system, it allows us to expand our watershed model because that gives us the data we need to build the model. Under the dam capital project, that is phase 1 of Kashwakamak. So it's 4.5 million, and that includes that staff time that you saw earlier under compensation category 3 capital. So that includes staff time. External costs are actually 4.2 million. So we're looking for that FYI DMAP, which is the Federal Disaster Mitigation and Abatement Fund. We're looking at getting 1.6 million. We've budgeted here getting 1.25 million from the province under that WECI program. And just to remind you, WECI stands for Water and Erosion Control Infrastructure. And then we're looking at financing from the City of Ottawa, 1.5 million. Now, if the WECI funding doesn't come through, obviously it's going to be more financed through the city. So that's under the dam capital projects. Under the hazard mapping, so some of the other dam capital projects, pardon me, we also have dam safety reviews. These are within the industry, these should be done at certain frequency. And you may remember from the asset management plan that you guys approved a couple of years ago for our dams. We've prioritized which dams needed to be done. So these dams at Widow Lake and the Bennett Lake are the ones to be done. We've started the dam safety review this year. So what you're seeing for the 27 is a continuation of that one, and then starting the Bennett Lake dam safety review next year. Again, the hope is that we'll get WECI funding for the Bennett Lake Dam. Also in that asset management plan was an identification which dams need condition assessments. And so Big Gull is the next one on our list of priority projects. So again, we'll be applying to the province for funding for that condition assessment.
Jeannie has a question.
Yes.
It might be a silly question, but The difference between Bennett and Willow, is it the size of the lake? Is that why there's such a big difference from 95,000 to 30? This is for the dam review, the safety review. Just
So
curious.
you're on which sheet?
I'm not on the sheet. I just made notes
Okay.
for myself. I'm so sorry. I didn't reference the page.
Oh, yes, right, because Widows Part Two, the bulk of the money is being spent this year.
Okay,
So that's the balance.
That's the difference.
That's the balance that will be spent next year.
okay, thank you. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Councillor Curran has a question.
The 1.5 million financing from the city of Ottawa, if it ends up being 3 million, we don't get the 1.5 from the province. Has the city already anticipated that and said that's okay?
Yes, we actually put the proposals in for the whole project being between 3 to 6,
Oh, okay, good,
depending.
good. And that was Cyril or,
That went
Isabel?
that went to council, did it not?
oh, it went to council?
Yeah, right.
So we've already approved that in our larger budget.
Yes.
That allowance, yes, but the person that you were actually talking to, was it Isabel, Jasmine, or Cyril? Do you know?
Neither.
Neither. It's Kristen.
Somebody further down in the organization
Okay.
who worked up through the ranks.
Kristen Radcliffe. Perfect. Okay, great.
Okay, let me just see if there was anything else I wanted to cover here. Under corporate projects, that's our water and sewer connection, which we really hope we'll be able to do next year. And then the last thing I want to point out is under debt repayments, that assumes we get the WECI funding. Obviously, that would increase if we had to take a larger loan from the city. So that would increase. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So, I'll start with the great news. So as I said earlier, the portion, like I showed you under the total budget, that over $500,000 is going to be spent on category 3. This current year, of that $500,000, 143 was budgeted to be paid by the levy. Next year, we're proposing to get it down to 64. So you guys gave us the mandate that by the end of 2028, the percentage of municipal levy going to category 3 would work towards 0. Well, we're getting very close. On a $500,000 program, to be charging the levy 65,000 is a significant achievement. And for that reason, you'll see, the percentage change, it's half basically of what it was this year. The reason for the category 2 being 0 is because not only have we been, there's some adjustment in the actual cost that you would have seen on the operating cost schedules, but the reserve for category 2 is sitting well above where it needs to. And so we're just going to draw down the reserve. It's monies the municipalities have already paid for this service that they put into a reserve. And so rather than allocating pay-as-you-go kind of levy money towards it, we're just going to draw down the reserve a bit. And this falls within, the guardrails established by the province. The province is mainly concerned about category 1. This is money your municipalities contributed, and that it's for a service that you've asked us to provide. And that's why we felt comfortable, since it's above its target level, to draw from the reserve to pay for category 2 this year. And the effect of that is it just means more of your revenues going to category 1. Right? So we felt that that was a reasonable approach for this year. It doesn't draw it down to 0 by any sense of imagination. There's still the money in reserve. It just means that we were able to, redirect that money to category 1. So what else did I want to highlight here? So the capital category 1 and 3, that 9% is that 7.5 per the schedule in the 10-year capital plan, plus the growth rate of 1.5. So that's what those are. And I think that's it that I wanted to say on this. If there's any questions. Okay, if you can go to the next. Okay, so under operating revenues, I actually meant to make a small adjustment to this slide. That little sliver saying reserve fund, it should say net. Because there is some going in, some coming out, so the net contribution across all our reserve funds is an increase of 1%, or pardon me, 1% of our budget, or 61,000. So the biggest piece of the pie, as you can clearly see, is 75% of our operating revenues is your municipalities. So at this point, I'd like to say thank you to all of you, because you know, I think I've told you guys that I've been trying to work on the history of the organization to capture that. And going back at, you know, there was a time when, depending on the program we we're talking about, it was 10 or 20%. So it's very much appreciated. And I hope you feel that we demonstrate value for money, and if you ever feel that we're not, you to come and talk to me. And I would say that now, but particularly post amalgamation, because I have no idea how this is all going to work. But what I think is going to be so important post amalgamation is that CAs, this regional CA, maintains communications with your individual municipalities, even though you might not have a seat at the table, that we maintain some sort of direct communications with you so that we can have these kind of conversations and understand. That would be my suggestion, for instance, to Summer, is that we have to figure out a framework and some sort of reporting structure that allows these kind of conversations to continue, because 75% is 75%. And sure, you know, it might be funneled up through the county, but we all know where it's coming from, right? So, and of course, we can.
I don't want to rain on your parade, but I can probably. This is being taken over by the Church of Scott. Okay.
Not
So, yes, I mean, that's who's going to be paying for the future. So they're just going to spend down a number to us at the county, because the whole county is encompassed by this week board. So it's just going to be part of the county levy is the way down. Local municipalities, based on other county programs that we have. The only ones that'll get talked to will be the read and deputy reads or mayor's stuff, and you can look to the reporting county. That's the way the county operates. They don't talk to us on what they do on roads, they don't talk to us about their programs or their programs. So this will be part of their program, and we can expect that this probably is going to be very low. We'll have to follow anything we want to do to street the county. And then I go back to the fact that Smith Falls gets one vote for 9,000 people, and we get one vote for 75,000 on this board for our county. And I don't have any great faith in what you're saying. The local municipalities will have any more involvement in the AMVCA or the new.
It's a little off topic.
I know.
So, but I hope you feel better.
Yeah, we didn't bring that up. There, I just wanted to be glad the fact that I don't think that. I think that's rose toward glass.
How they organize amalgamation and try to keep a local voice is absolutely a challenge.
Yeah.
You're talking particularly about money
Yep.
issues. There may be other ways of doing it. I have ideas in my head based on new construction, but in any case, we are off topic of that, and we can. And so let's get back to what we're talking about. Any other questions on what she has just presented so far? All right, let's move on to the next slide.
all right, so we're coming down the home stretch here. So, again, this is operating revenues. So, you can see that the municipal levy, that's not 3% inflation that was approved off the top, plus that 1.5% growth. So that's not 4.5% of the increase in the levy. We're proposing to draw down continue to draw down. There's oh wait a minute. That was a, yes, continue, sorry, this is a net drawdown of the reserve fund by just 60,000, which is not significant. So though the number 56 is big, the actual number value is very small. The provincial and federal grants on the operating side, we're hoping will continue to increase. Some of these we know are going to happen. The fees for service, overall, they're just going up 1.5%. We try to take a very conservative approach. This is largely our planning and permit fees, but also our category 3 fees. And because the development sector is an unknown, whether it's going to go up or go down or, just cool, we never know. So we tend to take a fairly conservative approach in projecting our year-over-year increases in fees.
Well, haven't they been frozen?
There's the rate
Yeah.
and then there's the demand.
Right.
I'm talking the
Okay,
demand side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then other revenues, we're uncertain about. And we've shown some where we know them to be, and also bear in mind that in some cases, we're just trying to make sure that the budget balances at the end of the day, and so the other revenues are not something that we're feeling are going to be significant as compared to this current year. But that's, I think, some of the discussions that we've had regarding insurance, for example, the foundation are like, we need to have more of those kind of conversations. This is where it's sitting at right now. It's not a significant portion of the budget. So the last slide, if we could go to that, are the reserve balances. So you can see by the end of last year, the actual year-end balance, so opening balance of this year, was 1.1 million for the operating and 1.8 for the capital. Our projection for this year is that we're going to be drawing down significantly. So the operating is to go down to 1 million and the capital to 1.6, and that trend on the operating is going to continue into 27. But it's not a significant amount in actual dollar values. It's that 60,000 net that we've talked about as well. But we will, assuming we get the revenues that we've been talking about on the capital side, we'll actually be in a position to start building the capital reserve again. Modest. So that's the presentation of the budget. If you wanted to go into any of the sheets or have other questions, happy to do so.
Great. Any questions? So we will be making our recommendation to the board for September's meeting that they approve this budget. Or are they approving it or
Approved for circulation.
for circulation? All right, I'm not speaking. Oh, yes.
Just want to make a comment, well, sort of a question. Is there any kind of comment to come from the province to say your reserves are too high? Like, does that look bad for us?
Our reserves aren't too high.
But you know how the province, their lens often is like, look at how much money you have sitting
Yeah,
there.
you don't-
So you don't need other monies. Do you ever get that messaging?
We haven't, and I think the fact that we have a reserve policy, reserve targets, a plan for achieving those targets, we've been very methodical.
Yeah.
And I would say we've also been very conservative because our reserve targets are to enable delivery of our 10-year capital plan. There is no money being set aside for anything beyond 10 years.
Yeah.
And we're not meeting our targets.
Yeah, I hope they would see that as smart, that's prudent,
I would
that's
hope
what smart
so.
people do.
Yeah.
I just always hate it when they sort of have that other lens, like these people are crying poor all the time and yet they're sitting on this money, so. But it's smart to have money in reserves, but the city of Ottawa is the same thing, right? We have groups, especially in election time right now, that are saying, why do you have all these reserves? It's ridiculous. Really? Really?
Yeah.
You seen the winter we just had,
Yeah.
way over snow budget, like you have to be careful, right? But then I'm glad you're not hearing that.
Well, and that's why when we saw the surplus on the category 2, that we felt this, you know, this
Yeah.
is a reasonable drawdown.
Sure.
Of something that is excessive. So.
Okay, good.
Probably because the province doesn't understand reserve management, they only understand that.
Yeah, exactly. That's something quite foreign to them.
That's a quotable.
That's
That is very good.
All right, so are there any other questions or comments? Because we're going to move to reading the resolution. The very last time I may have to do this. As chair of the finance. So resolved that the Finance and Administration Advisory Committee recommend that the draft 2027 budget be tabled with the Board of Directors for consideration and circulated to member municipalities for comment. I need someone to move. I see Jeff moves and Paul seconds. All in favor? The motion is carried. Wow.
Even though I was going
And-
to good job.
Okay, there's no other business? I'm just gonna check before I adjourn the meeting, all right? Resolved that the Finance and Administration Advisory Committee be adjourned. So Paul and Jeannie, all in favor? All right, the
Right on time.
meeting is adjourned. Very good.
Go back into my old drum for
Would you like another piece of cake?
Yeah.